About 15 years ago, when I was really wrestling with compulsive eating at its worst, I stumbled across a quote by Pema Chödrön, and she says, "Nothing ever goes away until it teaches us what we need to know." And that quote drove me nuts. I wanted to tear my hair out because I was trying everything to stop my out of control eating. And I mean, I was trying calorie counting therapy, you name it, and nothing seemed to be working. And I was just desperate. I was just like, tell me, universe, what do I need to know? I'm ready to learn the lesson. Because something about that quote just really made sense. And I have to say, I think it's only now, many years later, and through my own journey of changing my relationship, healing my relationship with food, and helping many other wonderful people do the same thing, do I think I'm finally truly understanding what it was compulsive eating was here to teach me. It's something I wish I'd known sooner. It's something that I wish the people who tried to help me had known sooner, or maybe they did and I wasn't listening. I think that's possible too. And it's something I wish for all the world that kind of had never happened, but was inevitable given how I'd grown up. So I want to share with you the one thing that drives all your overeating. It also drives people pleasing. It's also the reason you struggle to get in a bikini in summer. It's also the reason you're probably a really hard worker and excel in certain parts of your life. In fact, it's pretty much the one thing that fuels every single part of your personality, pretty much. The more I do this work, the more I think we're way more products of nurture than we are of nature. Although here's the thing, weirdly, that we are born with this thing inside us. And this is the part of our nature that we couldn't change, shouldn't change, absolutely needed to have. And we can't ever run away from. It'll be with us forever. But what we can do is face into it and learn how to manage it so we can live really happy, healthy, free lives where we're not fighting with compulsive overeating every 5 minutes. So in the course of this live, and it's maybe it'll be a really quick one today, I'll share what I know with you, and I think you're going to really enjoy the journey as we go through this this thing. And if you enjoy it and get value from it, please smash the like button. I'd love you to post a comment of what impact this conversation has had on you and where you see this showing up in your life. But let's dive in. So there's really just one thing that is creating a lot of our behaviors, including the one where we reach for food in a kind of out of control way. It's also the thing that drove us going on our first diet. And it's as simple as this. Once upon a time, we came to believe that we weren't enough. We weren't enough just as we were. And we began looking for all the ways we needed to change in order to be enough. That's the product of the one thing. But the one thing goes further back. It's this thing that we're born with, this innate fear and vigilance that we have for watching to ensure that we will stay connected. So the fear is of being alone, of being abandoned, of being kicked out of the family, out of the tribe. And we're born with that fear. There is nothing we can do about the fact that that fear is wired into our nervous system from the day that we're born. But what that fear meant is we became, and I think we all are, watching and watchful for where we might experience rejection or disconnection, where somebody doesn't like us, which was really useful when we were babies because we couldn't have been without the connection and care of our caregivers and our parents. We had to have it. We had no choice. So it makes sense that we're wired for that we're watching to see what do I need to do more of that keeps that connection with my caregivers, that ensures that I'm liked and approved of, and on a good day, loved and cared for, right? And what are the things that I'm doing that I need to change that might have created a bit of disconnection? We use this word abandonment, fear of abandonment, but abandonment to a little baby can be walking out of the room. That's where they feel distress when mum's not there or dad's not there anymore and they're left alone. It's wired into the nervous system. It can feel when somebody's not present anymore. And we become distressed as little babakies. And that makes sense. And we need to be, because we need to maintain the connection of our caregivers. And we begin to be watchful. This is none of our doing. All of this is just in our programming from such a young age. And we become so watchful for who do I need to be? What do I need to do in order to ensure that they keep me close to them, or that they provide care for me and that they nourish me? And what do I need to stop doing in order to ensure that I don't get that moment of disconnection again? So every time your parents broke the connection, deliberately or otherwise, your nervous system was just watching all of it and starting to adapt and change your behavior in order to ensure that you maintain that connection. And what I've discovered through this work of my own journey, but working with all the many wonderful people who've struggled with out of control eating, is there's really just one common theme underneath it all. And we all seem to have turned into, or certainly all the people I've worked with, some version of what we might call a people pleaser. And the people pleaser is really just a way of, it's a personality trait in some ways that's come from this place of, how do I keep you close to me? How do I ensure that you like me? What do I need to do in order to keep our connection? And what's weird is we seem to have created such a hypervigilance for it. But I think that that comes from a place where we were really unsafe as a child, where one or both of our caregivers communicated to us in no uncertain terms, verbally or non-verbally, that their care or their attention and their approval or love for us was conditional. It was conditional and they could take it away at any minute. And now I know a lot of parents must have used that as a way to kind of get us to stop crying or, manipulate our behavior or get us to get good results, which, seems sweet and it seems okay. It seems fair enough. But the problem is in some of us, when it happened too much and there was no sense of confidence that we were lovable and acceptable just as we are, our nervous system just became more and more fearful of every tiny moment of disconnection. And we just became hyper, not subservient, it's not the right word, but hyper concerned about every single, from our caregivers to our siblings, and then to our friends, and then to everybody on the other side of social media. What will they think seems to be the constant thought and the constant energy from which we operate. And I say this, I'm sharing this with a bit of a giggle because I've been trying to create a social media post this morning to put up on Instagram, and I probably spent an hour and a half trying to create it. And when I look back into it, it's just that it's just that little fear rising up again within me saying, well, what would they think? Because why would I re-record anything? I mean, this is half the reason I go live, is just to force myself to get it out without overthinking it, because once it's out, there's nothing I can do. Yeah, of course I could take the video down if I really wanted to, but it's a way of me confronting this inbuilt innate sense of or this innate fear, which led to a belief system that I wasn't enough. It led to a belief system that I wouldn't be lovable if I showed up just as I am. And here's the shtick about all of this. The fact is, you're not going to be enough for everybody. And for some of you, maybe the fact is that your caregivers or your parents did in fact reject you because in their head, you weren't enough for them. I mean, maybe it's possible, right? And that's such a hard, tough, horrible pill to swallow. But just because I'm not enough for Joe Blogs on the other side of my Instagram feed doesn't mean I am not enough. It just means Joe Blogs doesn't quite like me. Or somebody, Susie Q unfollowed me. That's all it means. But it's funny how my nervous system does not like that idea at all. Because there was a time way back when it was unsafe to be unloved or unliked, when it was horribly unsafe. So any wonder that belief system started to manifest, because I was looking for all the ways to stay safe. And then that turned into this idea that if I was enough, then I'd be lovable. And if I could just figure out how to be and do all the things that would keep me being enough, then I would stay lovable. And that for sure led me into my first diet. And how many of you listening right now, of the gazillions of people who will watch this, are reflecting on the bodies that they had in their teens, or maybe younger, that were absolutely perfect, just as they were by all standards, and yet they didn't feel that it was. They didn't feel okay in themselves just as they are. And if we just bring that all the way forward to today, how many of us standing in ourselves right this minute are feeling not enough in the body, in the everything that we are right now? And the hard thing is that it's all a story, and it also isn't, because it is all a story in that you are enough and you are lovable just as you are. But the truth is, you won't be everybody's cup of tea. And that's the real place of healing, as we start to heal this wound by both giving ourselves a kind of unconditional acceptance and care, but also at the same time acclimatizing to and accepting that there are going to be plenty of people out there who just don't care about us either way, or for whom we actively repel. And the nice thing is right now, as an adult, we can do that because we're safe. But some of us are clinging to that. I need everybody to love and approve of me because the pain of their not doing so is so great. Because once upon a time, all the way back, it could have meant that I wouldn't have survived. So we mustn't demonize this. Okay, there's no should. I just shamed all over you. I would invite us not to demonize these thoughts that we have and these fears that we have, because those fears forced us to evolve in such a way that we stayed safe. Because here we are. And if those fears led us to go on the first diet or whatever it is that led us to compulsive overeating, maybe it was just the constant thoughts of not enoughness that led us to start medicating with food, because Lord knows we weren't getting any comfort and support maybe somewhere else. and maybe that's all it was, and you never went on a diet. But most people I've worked with have been on that initial diet that seemed to kick off a very nasty relationship with food, because we were undernourished, our body started screaming for it. And then food started to also play the role of comforting and calming us down in a state of stress, because we didn't feel comfortable reaching out to other human beings to say, I need help, I'm not okay. So we reach to our good friend food, because again, a part of us is saying, but if you ask for help, then you're a burden, or you're not enough, or they won't like you. If they see you struggling, again, they'll probably reject you. We're at the heart of the onion. We're at the original wound right now. We're saying, oh, food, overeating, it's trying to tell me once again that at somewhere I'm thinking I'm not enough. It's affecting every single story that we tell ourselves that's not a story we want to be telling ourselves. Let me give you one simple example. I've eaten too much. How many people have had that thought cross our minds right before blowing out? I've eaten too much, so I may as well keep going. I've already blown it, so let me just keep mowing down the cookies. But that idea that I've eaten too much, well, what's that all about? Maybe I'm full and uncomfortably full, but the truth is I'm just going to be fuller for longer, and I won't be as hungry, for quite a while. And hey, did I eat too much for this hour or for this day or for this week or for this year? I'm pretty sure it's relative. So it's a crazy thought, but it's not crazy when you embed it in the context of, if I've eaten too much, I've failed. And if I fail, I won't be loved, because I will be whatever. I'll put on weight and then I'll be rejected because nobody likes people who overweight and. But it was all a story. It's all a story. Now, we're not saying that you wouldn't get more hits on a bloody dating app if you had a slimmer body, perhaps, right? There's some realities out there. But the truth is there are more than enough people out there to love us exactly as we are, regardless of the body we're in. So that when we do the work of change, whether it's improving our fitness or our health or losing weight, we're doing it from a place of I am enough, and I'm doing this for me. And whatever comes of that is just added bonus, because I don't actually have to change a thing to have people love and like me and be attracted to me just as I am. And the story I'm telling myself about that is absolute bollocks, because I bet you can think of people who have been mad about you in the body you're in, and yet you couldn't see it or refuse to accept it because it didn't fit with your worldview. Good grief, I've gone round in circles today. So that inadequacy, that story we've been telling ourselves, really has come from one thing and one thing only. And that was something that we couldn't have done anything about because it was wired into us. And plus, we were put into an environment where one or both of our caregivers gave us love and attention and connection conditionally upon us being a certain way. Or maybe there was a certain fear of them and we had to morph and change ourselves in order to just stay safe. And that created this awareness and this kind of hyper alert, looking for all the evidence of where I could be failing, where I might not be enough. So if I could just find it and solve that problem, then I would be connected and loved. And it started at home, then it went into friendships. And of course, media just kept reinforcing the thoughts that we were thinking, not the truth, just the thoughts we were thinking. Oh, it's tricky. So We've got a fear that we're not enough. That's a fear, or not a fear that we're not enough, a fear that we might be rejected. That's a fear that we're born with. It's not our fault. We created a mindset, also not our fault, based on the environment we're in. And now in position, we have to take responsibility for where we are. And you are old enough and big and bad enough to look after yourself. You will be okay. But we want to live lives of connection and intimacy. It's the vitamin we need the most. It's the thing that makes everything about life worthwhile. So the only way to really, truly live is to not only repair this inner wound and this story and this horrible nervous system feeling of constantly not being enough, and start to build a real sense of inner worth and confidence, which takes some work, but also to acknowledge that we are okay, even if some people reject us, even if some people don't like us because we're a certain age or a certain body or a certain color skin or whatever, right? Doesn't matter, because it's okay that not everybody likes us. We just need a handful of awesome or epic, amazing human beings to love us just as we are. And that's actually all we really need. And they're out there. You either have them already in your life or they are out there. This world is too big, and I've yet to be proved wrong about this. They're out there. So let's just get about the work of healing that inner wound, and then being vulnerable enough to put ourselves out into the world, willing to have not everybody like us just as we are, and creating deep connection with other beautiful human beings who love us just as we are, where we don't have to always be constantly afraid that they'll leave us. Boom. I'm going to leave it there. If you got value from that, please smash the like button. And just a heads up, I will be pausing the lives for a little while. I'm building out a fabulous program, which I'd love you to check out. I'll put the link in the description. It already is, which I'm so proud of. And I feel like this is my life's work. However, building that program out, it's a 4-month program that's kind of results guaranteed. And all you got to do is show up and do the work. And I'm that confident that you will start to really break free, not just of the compulsive overeating, but of this idea that we've been carrying, that we're not enough. And I'm so proud of that work. But what it's done is made me really exhausted. I have made these choices myself. I'm taking full ownership, and I'm just shattered. And so I'm just going to pause the lives. I'll probably put videos up on YouTube every week nonetheless, but they will be pre-recorded. Just to give myself the breathing space to focus on completing that program, completing the build, supporting all the new people who are in the program. And once I'm feeling there's a nice rhythm with that, then I'll be able to go live again, which will probably look around mid-August, September, I reckon. Maybe it'll be sooner, who knows? But if you've enjoyed the lives and you've shown up and watched them, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I will certainly be putting content out there and let you know when I'm going live again. I'm still on Instagram. You should be seeing me showing up a bit more there if you want more little bite-sized pieces of inspiration to keep your heart strong and your head up, just when we need it most. And of course, as always, if you are struggling with out of control eating and you've watched some of these videos and you think, damn it, I could really do some help with that, you can book a call to chat to me directly. You can talk about the program. We talk about you specifically and what you might need, or you can just dive in and have a little look around the program, and you can just quietly get on with doing it on your own. I recognize not everybody wants or can afford one-on-one coaching, and that's why I'm putting so much energy and passion into building something that anybody could do and get real benefits from. I want you to break free. I want you to be happy. I want you to feel more and more confident about who you are. And most importantly, I want you to have what really makes life worthwhile, and that's beautiful connections and deep love with friends and family and partners, where you never need to fear or second guess your lovability, where you can show up vulnerably, savor every moment with them, savor that experience of the relationship. All relationships end in the end. If somebody leaves or, we pass, that's how it is. That's the nature of relationships. But if we're not always second guessing this beautiful inner child who was born to be loved and to love in return, and we can actually allow ourselves to really save and enjoy those relationships, then when it's time for them to, be over, yes, we will grieve, and yes, we'll feel all the feels, but it's not coming from a place of inadequacy anymore, because that place of inadequacy has driven all sorts of terrible things in our lives. And it can also have driven a lot of the behaviors and the experiences you're really proud of. I recognize that too. So it can be a powerful thing, But where it's not, let's heal that wound so that when you're in these wonderful relationships, the very thing that we're born here to have, you can really savor them, enjoy them without a constant headworm that they're going to leave you any minute. Okay. Have a beautiful Monday. I'll be back live again in a couple of months' time. But in the meantime, stay tuned and maybe subscribe to the channel if you want to be, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when a new video has dropped. That's it. I'm out of here. Adios, everybody. Have a great week.